hello, and welcome back to another episode of Becoming Relentless. I am your host, elenoa.mccabe. I'm an IFBB Bikini Pro and an online health and fitness coach. And today I am back. It has been quite some time, so I really appreciate y'all's patience. I know that I've gotten some questions and DMs about where the podcast is, so we are bringing it back. I'm going to dive into all of the things that have been happening in the last couple months. So this episode is going to be more like a sit-down chat, catching you guys up on what's been going on. If you follow my Instagram, you probably still don't really know what's been going on because quite honestly, I've taken a massive step back from posting on anything. So not just with the podcast, but also on Instagram. That's kind of the only social media that I use. I'm on TikTok, but I don't use it for coaching or my business or anything like that. My TikTok is very personal. But yeah, after my pro debut, we're just going to pick up there because I think I didn't really have an opportunity to, or I didn't take the opportunity to walk you guys through post-show and what was going on and how I was feeling, as well as like the other huge life changes that were going on. So number one, we did the pro debut in November. And then afterwards, I kind of knew coming out of that prep that there were some things going on with my health. And I talked about that a little bit on previous episodes. Like I've gone through my blood work with you guys. And I can do this if there's interest in it, but I got a GI map done about 7 weeks post-show. And it just kind of confirmed the things that I already knew. Especially in this past prep, there were things that were going on that just didn't make sense. So I was pushing really hard, not eating a lot of food, doing a lot of cardio, using a lot of supplements, and my body just wasn't responding the way that it typically does. And of course, like every prep's going to be different, but I think what I've come to realize, like now that I'm 4 months post-show, November, December, January, February, March, April, oh my gosh, 6 months post-show, time flies. There's just been a lot that led to that pro debut prep and that debut being the way that it was. And I think number one is realizing that from 2018 to 2024, I did not stop bodybuilding. I didn't stop trying to prep every single year. And I say trying because I didn't compete every single year since 2017, but I definitely pushed myself, tried to prep, would go through a cut, would use PEDs or some sort of like substance, which is really hard on your body, especially as a woman. And in March, I turned 29. And just looking back, I realized I spent my entire 20s bodybuilding. Like when I turned 21 in March, and then in July is when I started my very first prep ever. So I went from like being in college, like living a quote unquote normal life, like going out, drinking, eating whatever, going to the gym, but like casually to just like strict bodybuilding. And I fell in love with that. I loved the discipline, the routine, the structure. I loved the way that I could change my physique by controlling like what I ate or, tracking my lifts, doing cardio, all of those things. Like I loved that. And I loved the discipline that bodybuilding taught me. And as I've gotten older and my priorities have started to shift and change, I just realized when I turned 29 that like, wow, I spent all of my 20s building this discipline and sacrificing for a sport that I love. And I'm not necessarily looking to do that in my 30s. And I think a lot of people think sacrifice and they think of it in like a negative connotation. I don't think of it in that way at all. I love what bodybuilding has given me. I love the sport. I love coaching. It is truly my passion. Like being able to help other people accomplish their bodybuilding dreams, it genuinely fills me with so much joy. And that's why I love what I do for coaching. And then for myself, I just went through a lot of changes, which I know I keep saying that and I'll give more detail, but I realized that I don't necessarily want to continue to push my body really hard and continue to put my health at, I don't want to say like extreme risk, but like you're putting your health at risk. As a woman, like doing these preps over and over and over again, it is an extreme. It's an extreme. And of course, there are better ways to do it. There are more healthy ways to do it. But at the end of the day, bodybuilding is an extreme sport. It's an extreme. You are taking your body to extreme lengths, and that is not healthy. And the way that I was going about bodybuilding was very like pedal to the metal, no breaks, no long off seasons. And as I've matured in the sport and as I've grown as a coach, my philosophies have continued to evolve and change around the sport. And I've realized I did myself a little bit of a disservice by not taking intentional long off seasons in which I could actually like learn how to live a regular life and find the balance that works well for me. And I've talked to a lot of my athletes who are starting bodybuilding in their 30s or in their 40s, and their mindset has taught me so much because they genuinely love the sport and they love what it's teaching them and what it's adding to their life, and they don't feel like they're sacrificing an element of time, if that makes sense. So I guess for me, like the last few months, there have been a lot of changes, a lot of new things. After my pro debut, I immediately got a new job. So in case you guys didn't know, I do have like a regular 9 to 5, but realistically it's a 7 to 7. I work in tech sales right now. So I sell digital marketing and SEO services to blue collar industries. So I'm talking to like HVAC, roofers, GCs, construction guys, remodelers, electricians, plumbers. And I call up business owners and businesses and I talk to them about their online presence. So if that's one of y'all and you guys are getting those like spam calls or sales calls, I'll give you a little a secret, like a little tip here. The reason why, if you're a business owner, you're getting 10, 15, 20 of those sales marketing calls every single day is because there is something in your online presence that needs to be fixed. We would not be spending our time calling you if there wasn't something that you could do online with however your business is being showcased differently. So I'm not saying answer every sales call. I know some of them are like genuinely spam calls, but you never know if somebody like me is giving you a call and trying to genuinely help your business. That's a tangent, but I do spend Monday through Friday at the office, 7 a.m. to sometimes 7, 8, 9 p.m., just depending, because something about me, if y'all have not realized yet or already, is I can't do something half-heartedly. When I get into something, when I try something new or I'm starting something new, like I go all in. I have to be like my best at it, not the best. Like I don't want y'all to get that confused. Like that's a very important distinction to me is like I'm not coming in trying to be the best at it. I'm trying to be my best at it, if that makes sense. So like when I started in sales, because of how much time I've spent creating content, like being on the phone or talking to people, I naturally have like a good intuition on like how to lead these conversations on the phone. And so I have a little bit of like a sales gift in that aspect. But when I came into the sales job, like I really loved that the harder you worked at it. So the more that I practiced, getting the pitch down, working on my tonality, figuring out like different rebuttals and like smokescreen objections and like how to overcome those, like and how to actually talk to people on the phone in a way that's not salesy, but still get your point across. That was like a whole new challenge and a new skill that I loved. Like I wanted to like hone in on that. So of course, me being me, I got this job in December. So literally right after my pro debut, I came home to Austin, and that very next Monday, I started this new sales job. And it took a lot of my focus, and it took a lot of my time and a lot of my energy. But I was willing to do that because I loved seeing the results of my hard work in sales, because the faster that I got the pitch down, the faster that I got the rebuttals down and like memorized it and understood how to navigate these conversations, the more sales I made and the more commission I made. And then it was like, okay, perfect. Like I'm getting closer to my end goal with this job. So let me like back up a couple paces, right? I got this new job, this sales job, in addition to my coaching. So I'm still coaching. Obviously, like I've had 2 girls compete this year, and I'm going to have 3 more. And I still have a team. We fluctuate anywhere from like 25 to 30 people, just kind of depending on the season. And like I've had some people join me for like wedding cuts, some people just genuinely for like a 12-week period just to kind of get in shape. So whatever it is, but I'm still coaching. I still have my team, and that is my motivating, like, that is my why. But I got this sales job because last year, I went through a lot of changes last year as well. But I left my corporate job. I left TM. I started with A Team. Um, Obviously, all of that did not work out. Like, A Team was basically like TM, just like repackaged. That's all I'll say about that. And with the pro debut and traveling a ton all of last year and only full-time coaching, but a percentage of what I was making was going to A Team, so I wasn't getting like I wasn't it I was a contracted worker, right? And it makes sense, like, of course, like, if you're operating that way, like, your head coach is gonna take a percentage of what you make. But when I actually looked at the numbers, the amount that they were taking and then the amount that I was getting taxed, my take home was abysmal. And yet I was prepping for my pro debut. I was flying back and forth to Florida, flying back and forth to different shows, um, just all sorts of traveling, like every chance that I could get, which I love. Like I got to travel a ton, but financially, not a smart decision. And I am too old, like, to be making decisions like that constantly, right? Like looking back over last year, it was just not a smart financial year for me. And so after I knew this in the back of my head. Like I was watching my credit card debt pile up. I was watching my savings like deplete. And I was just like, okay, I have to do something to change this. Like I can't keep living this way. Um, if my goals have shifted and my priorities have shifted, like my behavior, my identity, my actions, those also have to shift. Like I can't keep pretending that like, oh, if I just work harder at coaching, all of a sudden I'll get 10 clients overnight and I'll be fine. Like that's not how it works. And you can work hard at coaching, but these days, like being an online health and fitness coach also means that you're a marketer, you're a salesperson, you coach, you're kind of like a therapist sometimes. Like sometimes you are the only person in your client's life who is consistent and who is stable. And that is like one of the joys of coaching, but it also takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy. And I'm somebody who would rather provide like quality service than have quantity. So with all of that, like coming together after my pro debut, I just knew like I needed a way to build my savings back up, pay off my debt, and just get in like a very solid place again. So that is why I started sales. But then of course I got roped into like the culture of sales, I guess you could say, like the environment. Um, So that's kind of where a lot of my time and energy has been, is truly just like dedicating myself to the craft of sales and trying to get really good at it. And then at that job, and I guess I don't think I've publicly talked about it, but um, Zach and I did break up like for good, like that we're done. And he has been in my life for 7 years. And we broke up in December. So that was also really difficult. It was like pro debut, huge high, got to see my family. Zach was out there, the dogs were there, like just or no, the dogs were there for Thanksgiving, sorry. But there was like a huge high, right? And then post show, start this new job, break up, like just all of these big life changes that even going through just one, like even going through just like a job change, like that's a lot. Going through a job change, a breakup, losing my dogs, like they're not with me. I'll probably never see them again. Um, they're in Colorado with Zach, and I'm just probably never going to see them again. But all of that together, like it was a lot for me to handle. And at the same time, like I was making new friends. I was starting to like kind of let go of the reverse diet phase. Like I reversed as best as I could for the first like 4 weeks post show because I knew that it was like really important. But then after that, like I kind of started getting a little bit more flexible with it. And then I got my gut health tested, which, like I said, I knew in the prep something was wrong because my body wasn't responding well. And it's not that I had like these horrible digestive symptoms. It was just more so that I had like inflammation on my body constantly. And I would be super, super hungry one day and then just not hungry at all the next day. Um, like nothing had changed, right? Like I was eating the same foods, doing the same cardio, and my weight would like drop and then would immediately spike back up. And there was no real explanation for it besides the fact that like something was going on. So then I got my gut health tested, and we can also talk about those GI results at another like in another episode. But the high like overview of it was I have I'm healing SIBO, H. pylori. I has there was like evidence of like a parasite, gluten intolerance, dairy intolerance, like just and the opportunistic bacteria, the commensal bacteria. I had overgrowth of everything. And then I also have like some strains of antibiotic resistant bacteria, which is super interesting because have not taken antibiotics like in over 10 years. Like I cannot remember the last time I took antibiotics. I even asked my mom and she can't remember either. So I don't know where that could have come from, but I'm 9 weeks into the gut protocol, and all I have to say is that massive respect to everyone who has gone through this because it is just as hard as prep, if not worse. It's harder because your body composition isn't improving necessarily. Like in prep, you lose body fat and your muscle starts to come out and you look cool and it's like you feel like a badass. And in this gut health protocol, I don't feel that way at all. Like it has been so interesting to go through because you're on a very strict diet, but you can't exercise like the same way that you would with prep. So I've trained maybe 1 to 2 times a week for the last 8 weeks. No cardio at all. I'm not allowed to do cardio. And then like 8 to 9,000 steps per day, which if y'all know me, like, I love my walks. I can get 10K easy every day with steps because I love walking so much. And so with this protocol, like having to pull back with that has been really difficult. The strict diet has been really difficult. Um, Also, I feel like I skipped parts of the timeline here, but in sales, if you've ever worked in sales, then the culture and the environment, it's giving like frat house, Wolf of Wall Street vibes. Like, I don't know if it's just the office I work at. It's a very casual work environment, as in everybody there is either vaping, smoking weed, or drinking, or all of the above. And I'm sure that there are other things being done as well. But the environment was very much like the morning calls, and then we go to lunch, we go to Chili's, we take tequila shots, and then we come back for the afternoon and like keep calling, like keep dialing. And in February, um, with my new friends, which I love them, by the way, my coworkers, we had gone out to lunch and we had all taken shots, and we came back to the office and I had like back-to-back demos. And for some reason that day, like there was tequila in the office as well. And so we were just drinking and dialing and whatever. But I ended up selling, like I made like $1,500 in one day. And so then in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm really good at selling when I have a buzz, like if I'm drinking. So then I like kept trying to do that over and over again. And so I started drinking again. And I haven't consistently drank alcohol since I was 21 because of bodybuilding. Like I genuinely don't drink. And so the other thing with this whole like new job, new environment that I had to like sit back and realize and reflect on was that I I was almost so done with bodybuilding and like so like burnt out in a sense that I was willing to like completely change who I was and what I did and like my identity um in order to like I don't know if it's like fit in or just like I think it's a little bit of both. It's like I wanted to fit in this new environment and I didn't want to be who I previously was. I didn't want to be the pro bodybuilder because I had like a lot of mixed feelings around the prep, the debut, the people in my life who are no longer in my life. Like there's just a lot of emotional turmoil. And I think that like the sales job allowed me to like escape that for a while. But when I started the gut health protocol and also just like knowing that the path I was going down wasn't conducive to who I want to be and what I want to accomplish, I stopped drinking. And I have an app on my phone. The last time I checked, I believe I am 50 days sober, um, which is kind of funny because it's like, well, when I was like a bodybuilder, when I was bodybuilding heavily all the time, like it wasn't even something that crossed my mind. Like I never wanted alcohol. But then like drinking, selling, like getting used to having alcohol on like a weekly basis, it just became so part of my normal that like every now and again when I get really stressed, I like do want, like I'll be like, oh, I wish I could have like a shot of tequila right now, which is it's very odd um for me to have that feeling. So I am like no longer drinking, no longer doing substances. I'm trying to heal my body, heal my gut because um I think I've talked about this a little bit, but if you go back to like the beginning parts of this podcast, so like way back when Becoming Relentless was me and Cecily and Danielle, even, I think we had a podcast where we talked about like our goals and like our futures and this and that. And on that podcast, like I had said that I wasn't sure if I wanted kids or I wasn't sure if I wanted a family. Like I really just wanted to accomplish my goals in bodybuilding. Um, and in the last 2 years, like that has really changed. And I do feel like this is a very like personal thing. But I love chatting with y'all. So, um, basically, I feel like as I've gotten older and as I've realized that like bodybuilding isn't my sole identity, like bodybuilding isn't who I am only. Like I am a bodybuilder and I do bodybuilding, but it's not the only thing about me. I have realized like I do want a family and I do want kids. Like I want to get married and raise children. And like I know that some people have the view of like it's really scary to bring kids into this world. Like there's so much uncertainty. And I do agree with that. Like it is scary, but it will always be scary, right? Like if you go back 100 years from now, like those people at that time, that generation, they had their own challenges. They had their own scary uncertainty. But I think, and this is just my opinion, so feel free to disagree, but I feel like the only way to actually impact and change the world is by raising good children, like good people good human beings who can positively contribute to society. And like raising kids is a responsibility that I want to take on because I do want to change the world. And I think I used to want to change the world by being Miss Bikini Olympia. And I do think that that is a great goal and that there's like merit to that. And I look at the Bikini Olympia champions as role models still. But I don't think that that is my goal anymore. Um, so with that, like I also realized that like me having fun and drinking at work and acting like a 21-year-old again, like that doesn't align with me being a good mom. And what I mean by that is like a good responsible mother isn't going to take a tequila shot with her coworkers at work, you know? Not that you can't. I'm not saying that you can't. And I'm not saying it's mutually exclusive. I'm just saying like me doing that every day, week over week, like that isn't pushing me closer to who I actually want to be, like as a mom, as a parent, and all of those things. So I think what I've realized most is that I'm the type of person that kind of has to learn the hard way. And I have to go through certain things and like put myself in certain situations to then be like, oh yeah, I actually don't like that. I don't want to do that. And then I can like course correct. Um, I feel like this podcast is all over the place. So hopefully this is making some sense, but I'm going to bring it back. I swear. The other few thoughts and updates that I did want to share is around like my faith. And I do think if you've been following me on Instagram, you've seen like last year I started really feeling the pull to deepen my relationship with God. And my parents did not raise me to be religious, but we did go to church sometimes in Tonga. And I guess I never really, I didn't really think anything beyond like the surface level. Like I didn't investigate different religions. I didn't really know what to believe, honestly, I guess to be honest. And then last year, especially in prep, like going through what I was going through, it just felt like I needed something to like trust in. And I started going to church, kind of shopping around, not shopping. I went to different churches in Austin. And I started off going to Red Rocks, which I absolutely love. The Weckenman brothers are great. Like I love going there. And then I started going to the Well, and that's a lot closer to where I live. So that's kind of my home home church that I like going to. Um, and I love Tori, the pastor there. He's amazing. But I really felt like I needed like I just needed something to fill my spirit that wasn't like material or earthly. And I don't think I'm doing a very good job of articulating this, but even like 2 years ago, when I lived downtown and I was full-time coaching and I was living this lifestyle that I had been told was like the lifestyle, there was still an element of like emptiness. And I always thought like, well, it's because like I don't have 50 clients, or it's because I'm not I'm not like an IFBB pro yet, or whatever it is. Like there's always something that I was told or told myself that like when I get X or when I do this, when I accomplish this, then I'll feel satisfied. Then I'll feel that like fulfillment that I'm seeking. And what I've come to realize is that you can't feel that, and this is like me personally, unless you have something bigger than you to believe in, right? Whether that is God, whether that is something that there's many different like things to believe in. But for me personally, I realized like my spirit was looking for more. it wasn't being satisfied by the things I was chasing. And when I came to that realization and I actually allowed myself to explore that, so many things changed. So, all in all, like the last 6 months genuinely have been very transformational in terms of like my environment, who I am, what I do, what I believe in. And I think that it's taken me a little bit of time to really like come to grips with all of that. And it really feels like in the last couple weeks that my head's above water again. Like, not that I was struggling or drowning per se, but it was more just like I was so caught up in the day to day. Like I was so just like wake up, get ready to go to work, be in the office all day, be on the phones all day, go home, respond to my clients. And like I'll respond to my athletes like throughout the day when I can, but I don't want to give them like shitty responses. Like if you're asking me a question, if you're sending me a video, if you're, you know, wanting my services as your coach, like I want to give you the energy and attention that you need and deserve, that you pay me for, like the service that I'm here to provide you. And so I really struggle with like multitasking. I've always struggled with that, but like being in the office at work, like it's difficult for me to do that and also have my coaching hat on. So like during lunch breaks, or I'll go on like little mental health walks outside, or after work is really when I respond to my athletes. And then it was like there was no time in the day for myself. Like I wasn't going to the gym. The gut health protocol was like the only thing that was giving me structure, because then it was like, okay, I have these meals that I can eat and that's it. And like the supplements and whatever. But it's like the last couple weeks something has shifted. I'm not quite sure what yet, but I think I realized, and it like really sunk in, that I was spending so much time and energy at sales and at this job, and I wasn't putting that time into myself, into coaching, into growing my coaching business. And I'm in sales in order, like it's a short-term thing. I'm not looking to pursue a career in sales. So I kind of had to take a step back and realize that like it's okay for me to just be average in certain areas of my life. Um and I know that that sounds probably, well, I don't know how that sounds, but you're only going to be great, like truly great, at a couple things in your lifetime. Because to be really great at something, it requires time, energy, effort. The only reason I'm an IFBB pro is because I dedicated my time, energy, attention, and effort to bodybuilding for years. Like I sacrificed years to achieve that goal. And I love that I did that. It's nobody can take that away from me. And I'm so proud of myself for that. I'm only going to be great at that thing as long as I am pouring into that thing. So I think what I've had to come to realize is like it's not realistic for me to expect myself to be great at everything. You're only going to be great at a few things. So you have to choose, you have to make that choice, whether that is I'm going to be a good mom, I'm going to be a good dad, I'm going to be a good bodybuilder, I'm going to be a good whatever your job is. I'm going to be a good friend. You have to intentionally and constantly put effort and attention into that one thing to be great at it. So once you make that choice, then you have to pursue it relentlessly, because that's the only way you're going to be great at it. And you can be great at like multiple things for sure, but at the end of the day, there's a finite amount of your time and energy and attention. It's not infinite. So that's why I say like you have to choose what is most important to you and what you want to be good at, and then pursue that relentlessly. Oops. Um so all in all, like I also kind of wanted to touch on this because I feel like not a lot of people do, at least not a lot of pro athletes do. And I think that it's important to know, like, I felt so burnt out. I felt so disconnected. I wanted to push myself really hard post show. And I quite literally couldn't. Like, I fell out of love with lifting heavy. I fell out of love with the discomfort of pushing my body. I had to let so many previous lenses and perspectives about what a pro bodybuilder should do. I had to let that all go. Like, I had to let bodybuilding go and live a different lifestyle in order to fall back in love with it. Because I really feel as though right now I'm starting over. Like, I'm starting fresh. I'm focusing on the foundation. I'm focusing on my health, my daily habits. And I can't push myself until we're done with this gut health phase, which thank goodness I'm getting close, but like we still have a little bit to go. But I am starting to actually look forward to bodybuilding again. Um, and I can't say that I felt that way at all for the last like 3-4 months. Sometimes I would go to the gym, I would walk in, look around, get anxious at like how many people were there and just leave. Or I would see myself and I would be like, dang, I don't recognize my own body. Like, I went from being 120 pounds to 145 pounds in 4 months. And 25 pounds of body weight, like in that short amount of time, I've done that before. I've done that many times, honestly, with like reversing and whatnot. But it's very jarring to not be able to do anything about it. Like, normally, if I get a little bit too heavy where I'm uncomfortable, I'll do some cardio. I'll cut down on like my rice, like there's things that I can control and I can do and to put myself like in a slight deficit to like get to where I want to be comfy with your gut, with your health protocols. Like, you can't be in a deficit because you can't put your body under that stress. So it's been kind of a mental battle that I've been having around like body image and like my clothes not really fitting and me not liking the current body that I'm in, even though I know it's a phase and I know it's temporary. And also, like, realistically, I know I look fine. Like, I look healthy. I look normal. Um, but again, it's that one thing that I have where it's like, if I do something, I go all in on it. I want to be the best. I want to be my best. And like in my mind, my best isn't this. But it's like I just have to accept that and understand that this is temporary. Um, but yeah, as far as this podcast goes, like there's so many more details as to like the last current or the last few months and like how everything has been going. But I kind of feel like I've caught you guys up on like the high level overview. So new job, no relationship or broke up with Zach. I am in a new relationship. I do have a boyfriend. Yay. And he is amazing. And I can talk more about that another time. But yeah, just a lot of change, a lot of different things, and a lot of things that are outside of my control that previously I would have like really tried to get back into my control. But this feels like a phase of me learning to let go. So essentially that's what I want to like say this whole time period has been. It has been letting go of certain beliefs, ideas, identities, perspectives, people, like environments, and really just allowing myself to recalibrate a little bit and like reshift focus and fail and like not be good at things and not be a good friend, not be a good role model. Because doing all of those things and like experiencing it has shown me like, okay, yeah, I don't like that. I don't want to be that person. That's not who I am. That's not how I want to act. And then I can adjust accordingly. But the whole thing of like letting bodybuilding go in order to fall back in love with it, that has been really transformational because I've thought in the past, like I know that we've talked on this podcast before about like identity shifting. But even at that point, like I really didn't understand what I was talking about because now that I've actually gone through that experience and learned what it is like to truly let go of something, let it breathe, let it die, in order to like fall back in love with it and start fresh with it, it's been eye-opening. It's been very, very different. So I'm going to wrap this one up. I do so appreciate you guys tuning back in, becoming relentless. We are back. We are going to dive into post-show things. So there will be a mini series coming out soon. But as always, if you guys like this episode, if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, please DM me. But if you could share the podcast, whether that's like texting the YouTube link to a friend, sharing it on your stories, anything, texting it to whoever, that just helps me a ton. And it shows me like what you guys are interested in and what you want to hear more of. Of course, you can always give me that direct feedback. But as always, I appreciate you guys for being here. And until next time, stay relentless.